Hello, and today we'll be playing NeveN. This is the newest update, and this is for Maelbjorn. Usually there will be like 10 to 11,000 words in the update, but this new update has 20,000 words. So last time we had to pick between sparing Vakad and killing him. So the last update we did for Maelbjorn, we did both choices, and according to the Israel page on this for this newest update, both choices will have very different results. There'll be different consequences for each choice you make. So it might have to do a second video on this update because it's a very long one. But we're gonna do the first choice, and that's after we spare Vakad, and then once we finish everything for that, we're going to go back, possibly in this video or in the next video, we're going to pick where we kill him, where we kill Vakad, and see the consequences of that. So, but first we're going to go ahead and see the aftermath of Eric sparing Vakad's life. Because this monster has been terrorizing the castle in Phosphane, and apparently Vakad is an avatar, but Eric doesn't believe it's Vakad doing all this, but somebody else controlling him, and that's what I also think. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick the choice where we spare Vakad. The prince's presence is definitely beneficial. It's much more pleasant when he's not in armor. Well, let's just say that instead of crashing into steel, I'm crashing into his muscular torso. But I'm not going to explain. It's only when I feel movement in the bed that I stretch out in my sleep. Also, movement makes me feel aches and pains I didn't think I had. The prince is already up as I open my eyes, and he smiles at me as he puts on his clothes. You can stay in bed, You deserve to rest a little longer. Now that I'm awake, I don't think I'll be able to get back to sleep. While rubbing the back of his head, the bear shows an embarrassed look, and I must admit it's pretty cute. Sorry, I did my best not to move too much. But since you're up, I was wondering if you'd like to have breakfast with me, and absolutely yes. My dad. I can't help but widen my eyes as I realized I was a little too quick on my answer. Don't you think that, given everything that's happened? I know, Aeon, the best thing is to get it over with as soon as possible. Whether he likes it or not, you're involved in our lives now, so he'll have to accept your presence by my side. I'm torn between appreciating what Maelbjorn does for me and the fear of having to face his tiger of an adoptive father for a second time in such a short time. But I've literally survived a monster, so I suppose I should keep things in perspective. And also, I think the prince doesn't want to be alone with Aeon. I imagine he was used to Lust being there too. Well, nothing's stopping me from giving it a try, but it's really to spend some time with you and maybe get some good food as well. I can't help but smile as I say those few words, and I hope that it helps the bear's mood. And from the smile on his face, I think I've hit the nail on the head. Aeon's more the type to eat simple dishes. Lust, on the other hand, I hear a slight creak in his voice as he lowers his gaze. Lust really likes to eat good things. Honey pork was his favorite. I leaped to my paws and joined the bear, wrapping my arm around him to bring him some warmth. How about some honey pork in his honor? We could even bring him some as soon as he's well enough to eat. If he ever is. I feel Maelbjorn's hand close around mine delicately, so I press myself against him a little more to offer him a hug. He's strong. I'm sure he'll pull through. The bear nods silently before detaching himself from me to finish dressing, and I do the same on my side. Then we join the king, who is already at the table devouring a piece of meat. When he looks up at me, the tiger pauses to finish his bite before requesting Maelbjorn with his eyes. I'd like him to eat with us, if you don't mind. Well, it would be rude of me to say no, now that he's here. I can feel the king's force a smile. I'll do the same to maintain this very fragile agreement. After we settle in, the servants bring in all sorts of dishes, and I have to say I'm not exactly sure what to have. Well, to cheer up Maelbjorn, I have some of that honey pork. A tiny bit will do. Then for the rest, that salad looks pretty good to me. However, before I can get anything into my mouth, the tiger looks up to address his son. Russ is in a stable condition for now. He won't die, even if he's still unconscious. Even though Maelbjorn's doing his best to conceal his emotions, I can see a hint of relief in his eyes. That's where Soren and Gallant is almost the same, except that he has shown some signs of consciousness. He should be up in about a good week if all goes well. In the meantime, I'd like you to temporarily take over his command of the guard. Is there anyone else who can handle it? Not someone I could trust completely. Besides, you know as well as I do that Gallant wouldn't like to learn that he'd been replaced, even if only for a week. Rowan could have replaced him if only he'd survived. Ian nods silently before devouring another piece of meat. Then after a moment he resumes the conversation. It's unusual that the balustrade can be turned towards the inside of the courtyard. It wasn't planned that way. I'm the one who made some last-minute modifications. Clever and dangerous, but why? We knew there were enemies within our walls, so I wanted to prepare a little surprise for them in case they tried something. Only I didn't know Makad would be that enemy. It's lucky no one used them against us. A brief silence ensues as Maelbjorn lowers his gaze to his blade as his ears drop. I give Aeon as reproachful a look as I can muster, and he doesn't understand it in a moment, so I turn my gaze back to the bear before returning to the tiger. The latter then realizes his blunder, then closes the door. There would definitely have been more deaths if you hadn't done that, though. The bear's ears perked up, then he glanced at the tiger, who smiles at him. Here I'm playing the family diplomat now. Oh, by the way, how was the night? I hope Akai wasn't too agitated. Tonight kept an eye on him, but it wasn't easy. Apparently he's been particularly noisy. I hope you have an idea of what we should do with him, Maelbjorn. Remember, he's your responsibility now. I'll think of something. Am I allowed to visit him? This time both of them turned to me with panic looks on their faces. Surely not. This is a bad idea. Hey, we've got to try to communicate with him if we want to find a solution, don't we? You were clearly his target, so it's best you stay away from him. If we need to communicate, someone else will take care of it. Not to mention that we don't know exactly how tightly we got him, and now willingly he stays in our prisons. I do my best not to sigh as I nibble on a tomato. For a moment, Aeon opens his mouth, then I see him hesitate as he watches me. Tanak's brother should be arriving soon. I'd like him to be welcomed as he should be. As a potential heir to the Empire, you mean? What? I didn't want to say it out loud, but yes. Eric would have known sooner or later anyway. Wait, does that mean Tanak is also an heir? Indeed, he's even the main heir, actually. I imagine there's a reason to hide it, but then does that mean that he lied to me when he told me why he was here? his whole ambassador work stuff, and also that thing about controlling his brand. It's more complicated than that, but let's just say that his presence here is a mutually beneficial decision. He really does have control. He really does have control issues over his brand, and he serves as our direct link to the Empire, so he didn't lie to you per se, no. But the presence of Kazal's heir in our lands is also a way of ensuring that this alliance holds for as long as he's with us. So what, is he some kind of hostage? No, he can leave whenever he likes. We mainly want to make sure that when he becomes emperor, he'll know to remember his treatment within our walls. If he becomes emperor, although he's a favorite and lack of control over his brand could lead to him having to make way for his brother. So you're playing for both sides by inviting him too? Well, it's more of a short diplomatic visit, not a long stay, but we can make sure we have Kazal's support. Whoever the heir, I won't turn down the opportunity. The downside is that Tanakh is likely to take it personally. I'm sure he'll understand that it's part of the game. Besides, he's still our favorite for now. Let's make sure the two brothers don't cross paths any more than necessary, and everything should be fine. But we have another problem to discuss, don't we? I hear a Mercadian delegation has arrived. Indeed, it's not the most convenient time, but I was afraid they'd take our refusal to welcome them as proof of weakness. I don't think we should keep our doors open just to give them the impression that everything's fine. People will talk anyway. They'll know soon enough what happened here. Which also means that our idea of making this slaughter look like an attack from Akkad will have to wait for as long as they're here anyway. The king and his son are so caught up in their conversation that they don't see me reacting, and I have to admit that it's convenient because I'm absolutely flabbergasted by what I've just heard. Wait, were you really going to that? Were you really going to do that? That was one of the solutions we considered, yes. It's a big lie, and I doubt it will hold up for long with all the guards who saw the monster turned into Akkad. Besides, it's exactly the same kind of strategy Akkad uses, isn't it? Do we really have to stoop to their level? The talk about his eyes for a long time, sighing. You see, this is exactly what I was afraid of. He can't understand the challenges we face. He can understand if we explain to him. This time, the bear plants his gaze in mine, and I wonder that it's the prince speaking, not Maelbjorn. If we follow the path of truth, Akkad will have to be executed. Putting the weight of this attack on Akkad's shoulders clears him in part of what happened and makes him mature, not a perpetrator. There's no victory to be found in what happened. All we can do is salvage what can't be salvaged, and if we don't play that game, believe me, Akkad will play it for us. I understand the need to deflect responsibility from Akkad, but why choose Akkad? They can easily deny it, not to mention the fact that it proves they'd be able to get past the castle's defenses. I doubt that's the message you want to send to the world. This time, I see I'm getting Maelbjorn's attention as well as his father's. It would show to our people that Akkad is an enemy, but you're right about one thing. It will also make us look incompetent. Given the current situation, I'd like us to avoid pointing finger at the Frostian nobility, and I don't see what the alternative could be. A reflexive silence ensues for several minutes as the two Africans lose their gaze in the void. Akkad was involved in crime at one point. Perhaps we could explain it this way. It's the story of an idea, I guess, but what exactly do you have in mind? He wanted to avenge the hanging of his friends, and to do so, he had been preparing all these years while keeping his royal hunter a cover. And why shouldn't we execute him in this scenario then? We have to make him talk because he still has allies on the outside. I like the idea. In addition to explaining the situation, it gives us a reason to raid Bastards Alley to secure the place for good. It's not exactly the most moral thing to do, but at least it'll be a lie that's harder to verify, I suppose. And it'll save us the trouble potentially enraging the Mercadian delegation. Why they're here anyway? Aeon gives me a brief glance before answering Maelbjorn. Nothing important. Oh, no. I know that. That's a lie. They really brought a whole delegation here for nothing? It would not be a first for Makad. I can see he's not saying everything, but given the way he's looking me straight in the eye, something tells me I better not press the issue. Anyway, the matter with NeveN remains to be settled. Maelbjorn told me you had your doubts about him, Eric. I have more than doubts. I know he had Astrid and me spied on. I don't think we should waste any time. We should arrest him now, just so we don't give him the leeway he needs. We need to know what he's up to, first and foremost. Not to mention that tensions with the nobility are at an all-time high, so arresting someone so prominent without solid evidence is out of the question. I can try to get evidence if you want. Maelbjorn turns with surprising speed to stare at me, then shakes his head from left to right. No way, it's too dangerous. More dangerous than fighting an avatar? Eric, I'm pretty sure our spies are being watched, so an outside helping hand wouldn't be unwelcome. The look of reproach sent by the bear towards his father is more piercing than I would have thought. It's flattering to know he's a protective of me, but I better intervene before they get into a fight. I have an informant, but you have to promise me that you won't do anything against him. That's my only condition. A condition, If the safety of the kingdom is at stake, you better not play games with me, boy. I understand, but believe me, the kingdom's safety will be better off if I can give this person some guarantee. Well, I say it depends on how involved they are with NeveN, I suppose. He was his spy, but not for long, and I have an idea that can take advantage of this position. In that case, his survivability will also depend on how useful he is to us. They're tough to deal with. Well, I guess that's as good as I'm going to get anyway. It's Sven. Maelbjorn frowns, and I can see his fist clench when he hears that name. Little shit. He pauses before uttering these words, then blows out alongside in an attempt to calm down. I knew I should have snapped his neck when I had the chance. It's too late now. He's under my protection. Yeah, alright, but be careful of him. NeveN must be pretty desperate if he needs to enlist Sven's help, given how recently he's been here. And that old squirrel is anything but impatient, usually. If you plan to turn the weasel against him, you better be careful, like Maelbjorn said. I doubt he'll trust him blindly. I don't intend to ask him to gather information about NeveN, don't worry. On the other hand, maybe Sven could keep him busy while search his office. Ian watches Maelbjorn, who sighs again, looking away. I can't allow it. If anything happens to you, that's what being a king is all about, Maelbjorn. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions that involve people you care about. And I'm up for it. I've never been so eager to help after what happened yesterday. It made me realize I can't just stand by. What if there's a threat? I run away as fast as my little legs can carry me. The desperation in the bear's eyes will almost make me give up on this plan, if I weren't certain that what I'm doing was necessary for our common good. Alright, by the slightest bad sign, you back off, understand? Understood. With that, Aeon taps the table before standing up. Good. Eric, keep us informed of your progress. I'd like it to be as quick as possible. We can't afford to let a potential enemy operate within our walls. Maelbjorn, I'll leave you in charge of the cremation ceremony for our soldiers. Those who survive will appreciate your presence by their side. Until we recruit more guards, brought warriors from our army, and will keep our gates closed for future visits until our issues are resolved. This Mercadian delegation will be the last to enter until further notice. Alright? Very well. The king nods silently, finally leaving us alone. Now listen to what he says about Edwin. Caution is more important than haste. Don't worry, I knew how to stand up to Vakad, so I'll be fine against a shriveled old squirrel. I take one last look behind me to make sure the king's gone before I slip a hand over the princess. Besides, you trained me a bit, didn't you? With you and Gilliant as mentors, I've got nothing to worry about. At my words, the bear can't help but let out a slight laugh as he takes my hand between us. If anything happens to you, nothing will happen to me. I'm sure Tess is too afraid of being attacked by a gigantic bear in armor to touch a single tuft of fur on my head. Until we Sir Maelbjorn, I smile at him while getting lost in his gaze. This rumbling in my belly and this feeling of lightness. I must admit, I haven't felt so in love in a long time. But the bear finally pulls back, clearing his throat in embarrassment, yet he still manages to smile at me. You haven't even finished your meal. Well, it's kind of complicated with everything you say to each other. Are all your family dinners, strategic meetings? Practically all of them, yes, especially with Lusk. He sighs again and, spurred on by a sudden impulse, I place a kiss on his muzzle. Let's make sure he comes back to this table with a tidy kingdom then. You're right, it's the only way to honor him for now. Then the bear straightens up and stretches. Looks like we both have a busy day ahead of us. Take care and good luck with Ven. And good luck with whatever you have to do. He pats me on the shoulder with a smirk before walking out, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Sven won't be my priority for the day. Besides, with any luck, I'll bump into him in the corridors. But first, I need to find a cat to reassure him. After all, he's probably scared to death of me. I don't even have time to reach the Falcon's quarters when he jumps on me at the turn of a corridor, hugging me with a strength I didn't know he had. And then comes all the aches and pains that pull at my muscles. Ouch, 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 a cat. The bird steps back with embarrassment before taking my hands in his talons. I've been worried about you. Why didn't you come sooner? I'm sorry, Birdie, but it's hard to explain. I think my head says more than my words, since a cat pulls me by the arm to drag me into his room without giving me a moment's choice. Yeah. Come on in. After pushing me aside, I realized that a dagger rests on my musical partner's bed. Can you tell me what the fuck is going on? After following my gaze, the falcon scrambles for the blade, which he slips under his pillow while swearing like I've never heard him to. Shit. A bird's nervous movements as he hides a weapon makes me think I wasn't supposed to see it. There's no one to be scared, but there are warriors for. It's not what you think, Eric. I just like to avoid any unpleasant nocturnal surprises. He then sits down on the bed with a long sigh without saying another word. So I join him and take his talons between my fingers. Okay, you can trust me. What's going on? Of course I trust you, but you've already got too much to do. I don't want to add any more weight on your shoulders. We both know I won't give up. Seeing the falcon's grimace, I can't help but smile at him. I guess it's too late, yeah. After a long sigh, a cat swings in on himself. And no acquaintance has arrived from the cat. I think she's here for me. Does this have anything to do with the delegation? And your relationship is so complicated that you have to stab her with a dagger? For a moment, a cat looks at me shamefully out of the corner of his eye. I wish it wouldn't come to that, so that's why Aeon didn't want to talk about it in front of me. He was probably afraid I'd get involved personally. I can have a word with Maelbjorn, if you like. No, I heard what happened with King Lust. I really don't want him to have that on his conscience as well. He's not wrong. The prince already has a lot to do. If he's getting dangerous, and look, if he's getting dangerous, fine to knock. I'm still here agree to help you. He's not usually as busy as the prince. I'll see. But what about you? I've been hearing crazy things out there. There are rumors that you be some kind of monster. Oh no, I got to sort out the lies. That maybe or not want anyone to know about the kind. The best thing to do is to say as little as possible, but I hope the situation will clear up soon because I'll never get to keep everything secret in the long run. That's right. It was difficult, but we finally managed to capture it. And now he's rotting in a filthy cell somewhere under our paws. I'm glad you're getting out of this situation in one piece, then. But get some rest, will you? You look like poop. I mean that. I'll try, I promise. But before I go, don't hesitate to come and see me if you want to rehearse a bit. I think it will do us good. I'd love to, but not before you have some rest. The Falcon then pushes me out of his room laughing. Come on, and next time I see you, you better be in top form. If he's joking, something tells me he's not totally fine with this whole dagger thing. But before I have time to say more, his door closes behind me. Right, well, I guess I need to find Sven now, and that's likely to be a lot less jolly. I feel like I've been walking the castle corridors for hours looking for him. The throne room is my first destination, but still full of wounded and the priests who are busy tending to them. In the midst of all this chaos, Vo is busy directing operations to the point where I hesitate to oppose him. But much to my surprise, it's he who comes to meet me when he realizes I'm here. Eric, I've heard about your exploits. My congratulations. I know that under normal circumstances I would have joked about it, but when I see the injured around me and knowing what happened to Lust and Gilland, I find it hard to find the itch to do it. I simply did what you taught me, and the rest came by itself. In fact, I'm the one who should be thanking you. For a moment, I read the surprise in the boy's eyes. He approaches and pats my shoulder in a friendly manner. You should thank the gods. I'm merely their servant. No, I thank you directly. Don't minimize your efforts. I wouldn't be here without you. Even though he's grumbling, I can see from the way he's reacting that Vo didn't expect this, so much so that he has to look away. I suppose it wasn't an easy task to teach a stubborn rabbit, but the result is there. And finally, he allows himself a smile before crossing his arms. What are you doing here? I'm looking for Sven, and given that this is where I last saw him, I thought, Sven, the royal jester. I have also found that funny under normal circumstances. This goes to show anything can change. Oh, the weasel. I don't think he's still around though. The Africans who remained unscathed after their attacks have returned to their quarters for the most part. I see. Val wanders off for a moment to give a few instructions to some priests, and I noticed that the wounded African he was approaching, a young fox still encased in his armor, has his eyes fixed on the ceiling. He's dead, and I realize that the boy is watching him with a clear pain in his eyes, so I approach him. I hope I can find the right words. Do you know him? The priest doesn't take his eyes off the wall. The priest doesn't take his eyes off the young warrior as he answers me. I do, and I also knew his father. Neither of them survived in the end, and entire bloodline gone in the blink of an eye. There's a short silence as the boy removes the young African's armor with a gentleness I didn't know he had. I taught these warriors to use their brands. Maybe to them, I was just a grumpy teacher, but to me, a pained grunt takes over the priest's voice. Then I see the tears streaming down his face. I remember each of them. I remember each one of them. They are my reason to exist. Maybe no word can fix this. Maybe he just needs my presence. So I put my hand on his shoulder and squeeze lightly, after which he tries to wipe away his tears before raising his gaze to me. I fell as a master and as a warrior. I self-died in their stead. Come on, Eric, come up with something. You owe him that much. But it has to come from the heart. He doesn't need a nice lie, just the right words. Think of those who are still standing, those who can see even one more day thanks to your teachings. I'm not the only one you saved yesterday. And it's up to us who survived that terrible onslaught to give meaning to our survival. It is through us that phosphine spirit of tenacity must be passed on. The boy nods, and after removing the armor from his pupil's body, pulls a seat over him after giving him one last look. Gifted with words, I can't take that away from you. After rising to his shoes, he looks around with a long sigh. We still have a lot of work to do, and I'd like to have a little time to myself if you don't mind. Still a good luck with the wounded, and don't forget, I'm here if you need anything. And with those last words, I'm off once again, this time in the direction of the living quarters. Even though I do my best not to think about the attack, the traces of blood still covering the stones bring me back to a harsh reality. I'm at the point where I wonder how I survived when I see the damage, and it was all done by a single avatar. That's when it hits me. I'm about to walk past Vikai's tower. There it is right in front of me, the door closed as usual, except that it's been securely locked with chains. This time I know no one is standing behind it. There's only one terribly empty room. I didn't spend a huge amount of time with the hunter, but he was definitely one of a kind, a poet and a philosopher in his own way. What could have happened to bring him to this point? I detached my gaze from the door and continued on my way, trying to think of anything else. And once I reached the living quarters, I realized a major problem. Sven's room. I never really had a reason to ask him where he was staying. Guess I'll have to go door to door. I can't even ask the servants where to find him for fear there are other spies among them. So I go through all the doors one after the other until I find Sven putting on one of his usual colorful outfits. What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't enter without knocking. Sorry, I didn't want anyone to see me waiting outside their room. We need to talk, seriously. I quickly closed the door behind me as a weasel hurries to get dressed with a grumpy look on his face. Did someone get up on the wrong side of the bed? I woke up thinking things would change with everything that's happened, but no, I'm still a fucking royal jester. Feels great to be a hero. Have to admit that the situation is pretty unfair, but I didn't even have time to tell Maelbjorn that Sven had saved my life. And at the same time, he helped NeveN too, so giving him the opportunity to avoid death was a nice gift in itself. I wanted to talk to you about NeveN. Shit, I thought that was behind us. Not yet. How do I explain the situation to him without alienating him? I definitely can't tell him that I ratted him out to Aeon. It turns out the kings already had their eyes on you. Huh? They knew you were spying for someone, so as soon as I had to warn them that NeveN was spying on members of the court, even though I didn't miss your name, they managed to do the math. That's it, Eric. A half-truth. Those are the easiest lies to maintain. Problem is, it doesn't have the intended effect. I see Sven's eyes widen suddenly as he rushes for a bag, started to stuff his things into it without another word. Wait, I pleaded on your behalf. You saved me. It was the least I could do to return the favor. He stops and looks at me for a moment as if expecting it to be a joke. You won't be executed, but Ian has asked for something in return. Oh fuck, where is it now? You could help us catch Ethan for good. It's dangerous playing this kind of game, Eric. We're commoners, you and me. These people use us and throw us away like we're old socks when they're done. You should have thought about that before you got involved with the treasurer of the court. It's not like I had a choice. I know I should never have done it, but what was the alternative? As soon as he saw me struggling, he jumped at the chance. Anyway, it's both his and my fault. Listen, I'm not going to ask you to do the impossible. Your testimony won't be enough for the nobility anyway, so you don't need to be directly involved. Do you have anything in mind? Not at the moment, but you're going to help me. Since he obviously doesn't intend to invite me to sit down, I settle into a chair with a sigh. Do you have any idea where he might be hiding important information? Well, he spends a lot of his time in his office. That's where he used to receive me, and no one enters without an invitation. Does he ever leave it? Yeah, maybe to sleep, or when there are council meetings or stuff like that. Other than that, not really. He gets his food brought into the office, and he works there constantly. And what kind of information were you supposed to bring him exactly? He wanted me to bring back everything I heard about you, even the most insignificant stuff. I see. I guess it was convenient for him that you didn't know what details were of interest to him. We'll have to find a way to get him away from his office, but to do that, we'll need some kind of bait, something big enough to give him the appetite to get out. Preferably, it shouldn't be a lie in case he has other spies able to confirm or deny. And much to my dismay, I think I have that exact kind of information right at hand. You're going to send him a message explaining that you think you're being followed and that the best thing to do is for you to see each other outside his office. The idea is to make it look like an improvised meeting to give him the information without alerting a non-existent spy who's following you. If I tell him I'm being followed, he won't want to meet me. You'll have to make him understand that it's urgent and that he won't have any other opportunity to get his information. You're asking a lot of me. Plus, he'll just tell me to send him the information by letter. No, the information will be so important that it would be irresponsible to send it by letter, obviously. Wouldn't it be more irresponsible to discuss it in public? Well, not exactly in public. King Lux's gardens have some fairly discreet spots without it being too secret either. It's normal for people to gather there. And what am I supposed to say to him? I take a deep breath before uttering these few words. You will tell him that I have an affair with the prince. I see Sven's jaw drop. Then he leans over to speak to me in a sort of whisper. Is it true, or is it just an intervention? Is it true, or is it just an intervention? You don't need to know if it is or not. So it's true. And here I thought I was joking about insulting you about it. I'd like you to avoid commenting on the situation. I understand better why you're helping the royals now. And cast a brooding glance at the sneering weasel before continuing. Do you really think this will be interesting enough information for Edwin? Well, if he's that curious, he'll see it as leverage against me, and if it's the royalty he's planning to undermine, it'll be all the juicier. And let's say I agree to play along. How soon do I have to meet him? Aeon was pretty clear that this needed to be sorted out quickly. Could you do it as early as tomorrow? With all the preparations to do, nah, no way. How many days do you need then? It depends. Normally, I say a week, but maybe if you give word to the king that I did my best to help him and that I deserve something other than a place as a jester. You got some nerve. It's just a suggestion. If we do that, maybe I can free it up for the day after tomorrow. That guy never loses sight of his goal, but still reasonable. I could have expected worse. Well, alright, but the day after tomorrow, no later than that. And how long do I have to keep him busy? Do you think you can hold a conversation for a little over an hour? Yeah, just by telling him you slept with a prince. I'm sure you'll love coming up with all sorts of spicy details. For once, I've given you permission to spew all your venom. Will you really turn down this opportunity? Strangely, his face suddenly lights up. Is this really the argument I need to convince him? Well, I guess if my head's on the line, I don't have much choice, but being able to insult you for free, now that's reward. That's right, enjoy it. In the meantime, you better do your job. Yeah, right. Go on, be it now. I got work to do. With a sigh, I get up before heading out, making sure there's no one suspicious outside. All the spy business is making me paranoid. The rest of the day I spent resting and thinking about my plan and find information about Eva. I'm going to have to rely on some pretty good luck to find solid evidence in his office, given the size of the room and the sheer number of things in it. But what if my plan isn't polished enough? What if the squirrel doesn't think it's urgent enough for him to get out of his office? I have a feeling that my thoughts are going to be flooded with this whole situation for the next few days. Night falls and I can barely get to sleep, so much so that when I wake up the next day, I feel like I haven't slept at all. So I drag myself out of bed with a groan before wandering the corridors in the hope of finding something to occupy me. Maybe I should work out. Even with Guerlain gone, I need to maintain some form. However, before I can head for the training room, I come face to face with Simi, who greets me with a shake of the head. The warrior cremation ceremony is about to begin. Would you like to come with me? Oh, I didn't know exactly how to go about. Well, yeah, sure. I'll come with you. Thank you, my boy. My son is with the rest of his family for now. They prefer to mourn together. Looks like the training will have to wait. Simi clearly needs a presence by her side. She then slips her arm under mine, and I can't help but smile sadly at her as she guides me towards the courtyard. It's crowded mainly by Maelbjorn and his warriors who are wearing the guard uniform. Looking at them, I realize there are all sorts of new faces, probably because of all the deaths. For a moment, I have the strange impression that I know some of them, like a sort of deja vu, but this thought is quickly swept away by what I see next. A large structure of wood and straw has been set up here, and the almost naked bodies of fallen soldiers have been placed at regular intervals on the beams. After walking around it, Simi and I position ourselves so that we are in view of Rowan's body. He almost looks peaceful compared to the last time I saw him. All the blood has been cleaned away, and his wounds appear to have been closed. Glancing out the corner of my eye at Simi, I can hardly tell how much sadness is eating away at her. A few prayers in Old Frosian are chanted, then priests of Argon shoot flames from their torches to set the pyre ablaze. In total silence, we watched the wood being consumed, then the bodies with it. The thought that this might be the last time I see the snow leopard's face twists my guts as the flames grow even larger. Then he disappears. I bite my lips to keep from sweating a tear, all the while thinking how ridiculous it would be if I were to cry while Simi is simply there, looking impassive. But her hand tightens on my arm, and somehow I think it's just her way of getting through the grief. So we just stand there, even if there's nothing left but the flames and the unpleasant smell of burnt flesh reaching my nose. I intend to accompany her to the end of it. Once everything has been devoured by fire, and the structure collapses in on itself, the Fennec turns to me and tilts her head slightly. Thank you for being here, Eric. Would you mind accompanying me to my room now? After a brief nod, we go back into the castle surrounded by the hubbub caused by those attending the ceremony. But once in the quiet of the mistress spy's room, she sighs as he sits down. You realize I'll have to claim revenge for what happened eventually, don't you? Before I have time to answer anything, the defendant raises her hand to interrupt me. At my age, I don't have much reason to live anymore, you know? Actually, I only have two: my family and my desire for revenge. Those who touch the former will be sure to experience the latter. As she utters these words, the old lady pulls out a dagger, the edge of which she caresses with the tip of her claw. After losing Rowan, this second reason has only taken up a little more room in my heart. Her voice breaks slightly as she loses her gaze in the reflection of the dagger. I know you want the kind to live, but I'll have his head, one way or another. I can only gulp as I meet the defendant's cold gaze. So this is her way of getting through grief. How do I deal with it? I can still be useful to the kingdom. He can still be useful to the kingdom. I'll make sure he is. It's not enough to quench my thirst, Eric. Far from it. You've always worked for the good of the kingdom. I know it. Just do it once more. Besides, you still have a family, don't you? You can think of your future by their side rather than visit the dead. She only answers with a sigh, her eyes lowered. After a long silence spent watching Simi turn the blade every which way, I settled into an armchair, trying to capture her attention with my gaze. But before I have time to say anything, the Fennec speaks. We have an expression in Maelbjorn in the language of my tribe, or at least what was left of it back when I was still serving a master. Isisa Usumu. This phrase more or less means I'll drag you with me under the sand. It's both a threat and a promise. The Maelbjorn desert devours everything from animals to gods. History itself disappears beneath the sand. By uttering these words, we swear an oath to annihilate not only our enemies, but also their existence, the slightest trace of their presence on these lands. I make this promise every day to those who make Maelbjorn the frostbite bleed. But I didn't think the enemy would come from within. I didn't even see it coming. Nobody saw it coming, Simi. No one could have seen it coming. Yes, I could have. If my eyes hadn't been focused elsewhere, I would have noticed something was wrong with him. But Maelbjorn never ceases to be a thorn in our side. It's obvious that she needs an army, that she needs an enemy, especially in this moment of suffering. It's not reason that speaks in her. It's not reason that speaks in the words Simi utters, but the pain of having lost a loved one. You don't have to bear the responsibility for Rowan's death. No, I don't, but I do bear the responsibility of avenging it. And if he dies, then what? None of this will stop Maelbjorn. Maybe, but Rowan spent his life fighting for this kingdom against its opponents. There's no better way to do him justice than by eliminating the one who killed him. Our enemies take and take again. Don't you think it's time we took from them for once? The Phoenix's piercing gaze finally raises to look at me, and I can hear in her voice that sadness is giving way to anger. I'm not sure, not at any cost anyway. The only cost I have to give is the cost of my life, and what is value if I find myself unable to defend my own family. Honestly, I don't know what to say to appease Simi. Her anger is justified, but I'm afraid it's directed at the wrong person. But who am I to tell her who she should or shouldn't blame? Les is in a coma, and Maelbjorn still has to learn. I think he would benefit from having you by his side. You're his only trusted figure to have been in touch with power for so long. The prince could benefit greatly from your presence, you know? While scowling, the Fennec loses her gaze on the wall behind me, then she growls. Right now I need to lose myself in alcohol. Go get it. So get out of here. Sure. Now go away, kiddo. Well, I didn't know Simi was a big drinker. I guess the situation calls for it. Somewhere deep down, I know that maybe I should stop her, but at the same time, I understand all too well the need for moments of solitude. Before I go, don't overdo it with the bottle, okay? You're strong. You don't need that to keep you going, I'm sure. As I turn on my heels to leave the room, I hear her voice a little fainter behind me. And thanks for being here. Even though it should make me smile, I feel my heart breaking. She shouldn't have to thank me for just being here. She has just as much right to my presence as anyone else. So in the fear of emotion, I turn and rush over to her and take her in my arms. Despite her initial surprise, she hugs me back, and I feel her body twitch rhythmically before her cries reach my ears. In this moment, I feel as if all the foundations on which my new life is built, the ones I thought so solid, may have been irreparably shattered overnight. And it's up to me to ensure that we get through this difficult time. Finally, we pull away before looking at each other silently, our eyes misty with tears. Now go away, and for good this time. I really need that rest. I think we all need it. So I nod before stepping outside and closing the door behind me, my heart a little heavier. I spent the afternoon training as Gila taught me, and I have to say it's a great way to let off some steam. Of course, the thoughts are still there, but throwing a few jabs at a training dummy turns all those emotions into something useful. Then, in the evening, when it's time to eat, I take the opportunity to go to the kitchen to get a sharp knife. I'm not going to sneak up to Ethan's office with my rapier. That would be far too conspicuous. And it's out of the question to go in totally unarmed. I have to be prepared for every eventuality. Fortunately, the clerks are used to seeing me come and go, and so they pay no attention to me when I slip the blade under my cloak. Next destination in laundry racks. I need to find one of the servants' outfits that come and go from the archive room in order to cross it to reach the scroll's office. Unfortunately, by the time I arrive, the workers are already putting the clothes into wooden bins. I won't be able to get close enough to steal them. Well, looks like we're going to have to put your incredible charm to good use, Eric. Among the servants, I spot a rabbit who seems to be having trouble with her bin, the perfect target. So I approach her with my most seductive air, helping her to carry the bin. Where are we going with this? At first, the rabbit smiles, but that smile disappears as soon as she sets her eyes on me. Oh, no, no, no. This isn't worth it here, my lord. Let me do it. She's almost pushing me away, but I'm holding on. Maybe it won't be as easy as it looks. Not worthy of me? I come from the streets, you know. We're not that different. Well, you can come from the streets if you like, but you aren't out there anymore. So put the bin down. Listen, carrying that bin won't kill me. The truth is the bin has started to weigh heavily on my arms. I understand better why she was struggling with it. But outwardly, I still try to look proud. You're a lord. You got no business handling laundry, I tell you. While she's talking, I take a look at the contents of the bin, and it turns out that one of the outfits I was looking for is in it. Perfect. It would have been a shame to struggle that much for a bunch of underwear. Listen, King Aeon himself has asked for this particular bin, so I intend to take it to him. The lie may be a bit big, but I'm afraid this argument will draw too much attention, so this is the only way I end it quickly. But Valeria, what does the king want from my laundry? Well, he wants to check the quality of the fabrics. It doesn't matter if it's a lie that's easy to uncover. The important part is that it lasts as long as I use this outfit. After all, well, after that, nothing matters. Some of the servants complained that their clothes made them itch, and the king specifically asked me to bring him some samples. Well, it's true that the clothes aren't great. Deep down, I hope I didn't start any uprising on the common folk with a simple comment about the quality of the fabrics. Come on, Eric, don't be ridiculous. After all, small actions with disastrous consequences never happened before. Alright, take the bin, but you better bring it back to me later. I'll get a slap on the wrist if you don't. Thank you very much. I'll bring it back. I promise. On that note, I'm off to my room before grabbing the outfit in the hope that it fits. And it's too big. Well, with a few adjustments it should fit. Not ideal, but doable. But for now, I've earned a little rest. So I lay back on the bed with a sigh, a head full of ideas and possibilities. But eventually, I managed to fall asleep. It's not until the next morning that I'm awakened by knocks on my door. And it's when I try to get up that I realize I'm still fully dressed and don't have time to wash. I don't have time to wash at all. I'm coming. When I open the door, I see Sven looking around nervously. So I pull him inside before I close the door behind him. No one followed you. Not that I know of, but I did manage to get an appointment with Edwin outside his office. I'll be in the gardens this afternoon as planned. Perfect. I'm counting on you to keep him with you for as long as possible. Yeah, it's not going to be that easy, but I'll try. As Sven prepares to leave, I grab him by the arm before offering him my frankest smile. Thank you for everything. I promise I'll tell the king. Yeah, well, you're welcome, and wash your ass. Don't worry about me. And this time, I let him go with a long sigh. Soul time. Was to strip off my chainmail. I'll have to travel light this time. An armored servant doesn't go unnoticed. Then I put on several layers of clothing to conceal the glow on my brain in case I need to use it quickly. And finally, over these layers, I put on the servant's outfit. After roughly fitting it to my size, then I fold my ears to get them under the hood. Upon inspecting myself in the mirror, I find it convincing enough, not as stylish as what I'm used to wearing, but it should do for an undercover mission. Now, all I have to do is wait. And it's long, very long, and a bit stressful too. But finally the afternoon arrives, so I make my final preparations. and slipping my knife under the outfit, I rest my head against my door until I hear no more footsteps. Then I step outside the forest to a little corner of the wall near the archives. I know this is the least frequented part of the corridor. The line of servants stretching from the treasurer's archives rushes down another staircase. The sunlight is streaming through the windows. It's pretty convenient for me. It will make the light for my brand even less visible. And here he comes out at last. So I'll sing a few words of a bawdy song that's been running through my head to activate my brand. Then I join the row of pages to infiltrate the archive room. My heart beats faster and faster the closer I get, but I do everything I can to stay focused on my task. I don't even know what to look for, but I know that if it's there, but I know that if there's anything to find, it's in the office. Finally, I arrive in the main room, which is still full of Anthracans who are busy breaking in papers here and there. So to fit in better, I grab a stack without even knowing where it's supposed to go before moving closer and closer to the office door. Looks like it's working. Oh, I don't have the key. I totally forgotten about that part. Looking around, I see that one of the windows opens onto a balcony connected to the office. Oh, no. Not the heights, for never's sake. But before I have time to consider that option, a Cape Fox emerges from the office. It's probably the first divine intervention that's worked in my favor. So I rush towards the Anthracan, keeping my head down to hide my face as much as possible while doing my best to speak in a different voice, emphasizing the low tones. Lord Edwin has forgotten something in his office. I must get it to him quickly. With my head down, I can see the fox's expression, but the sigh he lets out before addressing me lets me know he's annoyed. Be quick. That voice sounds familiar. I look up for a moment, but the fox has already moved away, and all I see is a little bird made of saddle fluttering around him. Strange. What was he doing in there without Edwin? No time to think about that. My mission, quickly. I enter the room without waiting any longer, closing the door behind me. Then I start frantically looking around. Where should I even start? Probably his desk. My heart is beating faster and faster as I hurry through every drawer to take a quick look at every place of paper in there. Account records, title deeds. Suddenly, the door opens as three huge Anthracans enter the room, and in a moment, I freeze in front of them. They look at me, but don't seem surprised by my presence. Then Edwin enters and closes the door behind him. It's not very polite to enter someone's office uninvited. I've come to fetch a document for the prince, and as we speak, the squirrel guards pull a bag from a corner of the room and take out weapons. One of them, a boar, grabs a crossbow and notches a bolt in it. Is that why you tried to lure me out of my office? Didn't you think I'd find that unusual? We can still talk, Edwin. To say what? Sing even one word and you'll die. At least he doesn't know my brand is activated. While the boy aims at me with his crossbow, the other two go around me with swords trying to get me surrounded. I can't let them do that. In one swift movement, I draw my knife, but the bolt hits me in the throat and I collapse. My vision darkens as I struggle to breathe, then, in desperation, I pull on the shaft of the bolt. But the pain is too much, and the heavy sleep takes me. It's not very polite to enter someone's office uninvited. Here I stand again, facing Edwin, just before they draw their weapons. My heart is beating like never before as I still feel the death that's just hit me. It's like the other day when I It's like the other day when the ceiling collapsed on me. I see the opportunity to change things. Someone is left speechless, huh? Well, not for long. Make him talk. As before, the big guys grab their weapons. What am I going to do? Come on, think, Eric. The boy is aiming at me again. I know that if I pull out my knife, he'll shoot straight at my throat. But at the speed the others are approaching me, I'd rather think of something and just fast. No. Fuck no. I can't get captured. It's better that I die. So again I pull out my knife to see myself die the same way. It's not very polite to enter someone's office uninvited. I blink and gasp, still in shock but still alive. It looks like what you're doing is weighing on you. Do you want to share something with us? There are several solutions open to me if I want to take care of his guards, but I'm starting to see a new possibility. What if I took the opportunity to get him talking? Wait, I know you want to kill me. With that, the guards threatened me again, but I insist on talking to Edwin. At least tell me what you're up to, so I can leave with a clear mind. All that to go and repeat it in case you manage to get out of this situation? Well done, kid, but it won't work. Shit. I'll have to push this game a little further. Knife, crossbow. Here I am on the ground, struggling to stay alive a few seconds longer. And I see the squirrel leaning over me. Well, maybe you can hear it now. I'm doing everything I can to survive, despite the lack of air and the blood flooding my throat. Pain shoots through me, and I hear the call of the void once more as my vision blurs. But I have to hold just a bit. First and foremost, I took advantage of the attack on the Macadian caravan to have items planted in Simmy's room. And then, the next words don't reach my ears as I feel my mind surrendering to the sweet lullaby of death. It's not very polite to enter someone's office uninvited. Fuck, I can't push it any further. I feel like it's really starting to weigh on me. I can't abuse it. Given my condition, I feel like next time I'll die for good. So I try to regain my composure as they reach for their weapons again. Wait, if I were you, I wouldn't do that. Is that a threat? I know what you did with Sydney. I know you used items from the Macadian caravan to frame her for the attack. And Aeon knows it too. He'll be here soon. Do you think I'm stupid? If you already knew, you wouldn't be here, and I'd be hanging from the end of a rope. No, it's obvious you got your hands on my papers before I got here. Now you're forcing me to deal with you once and for all. Gotcha. Now I know there's something important to find here. Seize him now. Let's get it over with. I know exactly how it's going to go now. And as a horse approaching me from the right prepares to grab me, I use my powers to block the boar's crossbow. Then I pull out my knife and stab the horse in the belly, and he seems as surprised as his colleague, who is frantically pulling the trigger of his weapon. In a second, I turn the blade in my opponent's stomach to force him to shift slightly in front of me. Then I will release my powers. The bolt goes off straight into the horse's back as I withdraw my dagger, turning my gaze to the other African on my left, a wolf. You amateurs, kill him! As he strikes me with his sword, I block it, then take advantage of the surprise to slash his belly. But it's not enough to kill him. With his guts hanging, he lets go of his weapon and punches me in the stomach, nearly bending me in two. Because of the pain, my knife slips from my fingers, and I fumble to try to grab hold of it. Shit. But the wolf doesn't give me time to retrieve it. He grabs my throat and starts strangling me, ignoring the loss of his own insights. Yeah, I got a hit where it hurts. Caught up in the frenzy of the fight, I stuff my hand as far as I can into his wound and pull at whatever I grab first. It doesn't take long for the guard to release his grip on me in the face of the intense pain he seems to be experiencing as he finally passes out. Meanwhile, the boy has practically finished notching a second bolt. Quick, something. There's a stack of blank papers on each one's desk. I grab hold of them and send them flying before blocking them with my powers the second the projectile launches off, immediately crashing down against this ephemeral wall. Then, after releasing my powers, I see another of my deaths as the papers fall back, one of them nearly pierced. I wrote fast much longer. With what strength I have left, I suddenly ducked down to pick up my dagger before charging at the crossbowman. He's about to draw his sword. I block it again before slashing it deep into his neck, forcing him to keep his hands on the wound as blood drips from between his fingers. Then I turn to Edwin, who's frozen by everything that's happened. All the adrenaline in me will almost drive me to kill him, but my mind is stronger. I should keep him alive to find out more. So I grab him by the collar and push him towards the desk, causing him to stumble to the floor. Wait. For a moment, looking at this old, harmless African in such a vulnerable position, I feel like I'm seeing my grandfather again. What am I doing? Surrender, now! All right. He raises his hands in the air, so I take the opportunity to catch my breath. It's only now that I realize I'm shaking and covered in blood. But something's wrong. Edwin doesn't have his eyes on me. He's looking behind me, and I can hear a crackling sound. Turning around, I see a candle whose flame has intensified to the point where it has set an entire self on fire. A gust of wind blows through the room, even though the windows are closed, and it's so strong that the flames spread all around me. In a matter of seconds, I find myself surrounded by a raging fire. Why? The old African sees with a fit of giggles that almost makes him choke as the smoke begins to reach us. If I'm not buried, no one will have to bring flowers. This is madness. Looking all around me, I realize there's no way out. Neither the archive and balcony doors nor the windows are accessible to me from where I am. And my head is spinning. I'm going to... Something wraps around me. When I look down, I can see an arm made of saddles. And I'm yanked back through the flames with a smiling, crazy-looking squirrel as my last glimpse. Then I hear his voice. Eric. His powerful arms grab me, and I find myself in the archives, surrounded by a whole troop of guards in addition to the prince. Plans are eerie, in position. I have to warn him, and quickly. The documents, evidence for Edwin. The bear's eyes widen as he raises his head suddenly. Wait, the water will destroy the papers. Use your brands of tissue to make a vacuum and cut off the fire's air access. Immediately the soldiers obey and get to work, gradually smothering in flames. And exhausted by the battle and the use of my power, I pass out. To be continued. Hello everyone. We hope you enjoyed this chapter. If you want more information about NeveN, feel free to follow us on Twitter. We also have a Discord allowing you to chat amongst community members. Finally, you would like to support our project. We also have a Patreon that offers you a series of benefits such as bills 2 weeks in advance. We also unique stories about the characters of NeveN. If you like NeveN, please also feel free to rate us on itch.io. It will help us a lot. Once again, a big thanks to all of you and see you soon. That was the newest chapter from Maelbjorn, so Edwin framed Semi for the attack on the Macadians. And the kings himself knew that it wasn't really Simi, but it was somebody else, not somebody else was NeveN. He tried to set the papers on fire to destroy all the evidence that he was complicit. Now in the early chapters, when Eric had a conversation with NeveN, he said that he did some stuff in favor of the old king to prevent the uprising against the old king, and that he did some bad stuff, and that he acknowledges it, but he didn't really regret what he did. So I always had some suspicions about NeveN that he might be willing to do some sage stuff again, and he did it. He did it again. So he certainly didn't change at all, really. Yeah, he really didn't seem all that regretful about what he did in the past, and he's just kind of like a steady person. Just in what he did just now turned out to be true. He's just a self-serving person, and he's willing to put others at risk if he can benefit from it. That was true many years ago, when the former king was in charge, and that's true now. So we got to see that fox again. If you read if you saw the update for a cat in this same chapter, like towards the end, we get to see this fox, and he cannot talk. So he doesn't have the ability to talk yet. In this update here for Maelbjorn, he does talk. And when Eric talks to him about being able to see the papers and having more access in NeveN's office, the fox tells Eric to make it quick. So he did talk. So I wonder what that means. Like, is he really? Does he really talk? And that he just put on an act in a kid's route, or maybe this is just, I guess, an alternative, alternative sequence. In a cat's route, he can't talk. But in Maelbjorn's route, he can talk. I don't know, but he did tell Eric just now to make it quick. So, and Simi, he very much wants to avenge Rowan's death by killing Vakad, and Eric is trying to convince her not to do that because he believes that Vakad is still innocent, and personally I think he's innocent also. But again, I don't know who said this, but I think it was King Aeon, or maybe it's Maelbjorn. I think when they had that conversation earlier, I think Maelbjorn said that maybe Vakad knew some people and they apparently got executed or something, and that he's been in his position as a warrior hunter all these years to avenge their deaths. So I remember, like in the earlier chapters, when a cat took Eric to that place, underground place, he said that he was part of a gang. I believe that's what he said, and that his fellow partners, his friends, got executed for some kind of robbery they did or something like that. And So I don't know. That's what Maelbjorn alluded to. That maybe Picard maybe Picard decided to become the royal hunter to get revenge on the royal family and the establishment for having his friends killed. I guess that's what Maelbjorn was thinking about. But anyway, we'll just have to see what happens. So we played the there's a bunch of ambulance silence going on. You know, that's the reason I constantly have to pause the recording because there's ambulance silence. You know, I live by the interstate and they're going past here all the time. So anyway, I'm about to say, we're done with the update for now. You know, if you decide to spare Picard. So next time we're going to play this same chapter again, but this time we're going to go with the aftermath after Eric, the aftermath of Eric killing Picard. This video here was about the aftermath of, after Eric decides to spare Picard's life. So we're going to see what happens next time with Eric killing Picard. So, thank you all very much for watching. Bye.